Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today's video is a very special one because behind me we have the McLaren P1 GTR, a track-only purpose-built race car limited to just 30 units worldwide. We're going to be taking an in-depth look into the car and teaching you everything you ever wanted to know about it. Of course, we'll start it up, get plenty of exhaust sounds. It's going to be a really fun video and I hope you guys enjoy. This car was originally delivered through McLaren Philadelphia, so huge thanks to them and the owner for allowing us this very exclusive and basically once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get up close and personal with the P1 GTR. In respect to the owner's privacy, I can't say who it is, and we're in an undisclosed location, but we have the car to ourselves, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Unlike the road-going P1, the GTR is not fitted with any security features such as door locks, an alarm system, or even an immobilizer system. It also doesn't require you to have a key to open it or start the engine. It does, however, use the same electronically operated door handles. The only difference are the emergency door release handles that are located just behind the side windows. To open the doors from the inside, there's a pair of levers in the center console labeled L and R for left and right door respectively. With McLaren's signature dihedral doors, they swing up and out, allowing for easier ingress and egress. So a lot of you guys have already seen the video I did on the Aston Martin Vulcan earlier this year. Similar to that, the steering wheel for the P1 GTR is actually the key for the vehicle. So you grab this little gold shift collar back here and pull it back, and then put it on the steering wheel, or the steering column itself, and it locks in place, nice and tight. And then use the starter button in the bottom right hand corner to go ahead and wake the car up. And you can also use it to go ahead and turn on the accessory power. All the systems are engaging and everything. It's so cool. And then basically you just put your foot on the brake and then hold down the engine start button to fire everything up. Of course, after shutting everything off, the vehicle will systematically power down all of the electronics and stuff, and that takes maybe 60 seconds or so to do that, but then you would just basically grab the collar on the back of the steering wheel once again, and then just lift it off. Recently, I had the fortune of filming an in-depth review on the McLaren P1, which, as many of you all know, is a fully modern hypercar built mostly out of carbon fiber that packs a 903 horsepower plug-in hybrid powertrain and was limited to just 375 units. Not only was it rarer than both the 918 Spider and LaFerrari, but it produced significantly more downforce as well, over 1,300 pounds worth at 160 miles per hour. Needless to say, it will always be a very special car that carries a lot of historical significance. The opportunity was one I will certainly never forget, especially now that I've been able to experience the so-called hypercar trinity. However, getting the chance to film the P1 GTR, McLaren's track variant, was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that unfortunately not many people will have the chance to do. The P1 GTR is an exclusive offering to the select individuals that already own the road-going P1, with production beginning soon after the last car was built at the end of 2015. It takes everything we've discussed in my prior P1 review and turns the dial way past 11. Every car enthusiast should have the opportunity to study and appreciate the engineering, design, and thought that goes into making a car like this. It pushes the boundaries of what's possible with hybrid technology and continuously has me wondering what in the world is next as things continue to evolve. Like the LaFerrari-based FXXK, the P1 GTR is not road legal and was built exclusively for the track, representing the pinnacle of McLaren's Ultimate Series. Its name was inspired by the original McLaren F1 GTR that won the 24 Hours of Le Mans back in 1995. The new car continues the legacy of its spiritual predecessor by offering a more focused and stripped down P1 that weighs about 110 pounds less than the road-going version. With a total of 986 horsepower, it's also the most powerful McLaren to date. Along with a bespoke wheel and tire package, the GTR features a 3.1-inch wider front track with flared wheel arches, larger air intakes, a race-prepared suspension, and a fixed ride height that sits about 2 inches lower than a regular P1. The P1 already had some of the most intricate bodywork I've ever seen. Every panel serves more than one function, and all excess fluff was ditched in an effort to save weight and keep the car relatively compact. McLaren describes it as being shrink-wrapped. If you've already seen my P1 review, then you already know how air passes over, around, under, and through the car to maximize downforce and component cooling. The GTR is far more aggressive in its styling, especially with its GT-style front spoiler, dive planes, pronounced side blades, and its completely open tail end for improved airflow. Unlike the regular P1, the rear wing on the GTR is fixed. It's also 3.9 inches taller than the maximum height available on the regular P1's adjustable wing. Only when you activate the drag reduction system that I'll talk about in just a bit can the GTR's wing adjust its pitch from 32 degrees to 0, allowing for a higher top speed. The glass roof panel on the regular P1 was swapped out for a carbon fiber panel, while all of the GTR's windows are made from polycarbonate. The wing mirrors were repositioned to the A-pillars for improved visibility and reduced drag. All in all, the aero changes are said to yield a 10% improvement in downforce over a regular P1. There's more to this though than just owning a highly exclusive $3 million plus track car though. Those who purchase a P1 GTR will have access to an exclusive McLaren drivers program that provides owners with the opportunity to drive world-renowned racetracks around the globe, all while receiving expert instruction and training similar to that of an F1 driver. Owners will also receive a tailor-made support package that includes storage for their GTR at McLaren's headquarters in Woking, England, and the cost of a dedicated team of engineers and technicians who will be responsible for maintaining and prepping the car before each event. Transport costs, 5-star accommodations, tires, fuel, and more are also included. The P1 GTR's hybrid powertrain is shared with the road-going car, only it's been slightly modified to develop more power and torque. The setup still consists of a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8 that now develops 789 horsepower at 7,250 RPM and 561 pound-feet of torque at 6,000 RPM, along with a single electric motor that contributes 197 horsepower and 96 pound-feet of torque. With both electric and gasoline power, a regular P1, which has a total output of 903 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque, is able to accelerate to 62 miles an hour in just 2.8 seconds, 124 miles per hour in 6.8 seconds, and 186 miles per hour in 16.5 seconds. It can accelerate past the quarter mile in 9.8 seconds at 152 miles per hour and hit a top speed of 217 miles per hour. With the GTR's extra downforce, top speed drops to 202 miles per hour, but acceleration numbers should improve as there's significantly less weight. Gases are sent out by a lightweight Inconel and titanium exhaust system specifically designed for the GTR. McLaren recommends the use of Mobil Hyperflow Turbo Ultimate 102-octane fuel. 99-octane is acceptable as long as you use an alternate ECU from McLaren Special Operations. You just won't get the maximum level of performance. A 15-gallon tank is standard. The GTR delivers its power to the rear wheels through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, slightly different from the one used in the regular P1, as there's no buttons in the central tunnel to engage drive, reverse, and neutral. Everything is done by the steering wheel. The P1 and the P1 GTR don't have conventional parking gears built into the transmission, but the GTR also goes without a parking brake, so it's important to keep it on a level surface when not in active use. McLaren also recommends when it comes to charging to raise the vehicle via the air jacks first and install safety supports. On startup, the transmission defaults to automatic shifting unless you select manual mode on the steering wheel. Then you're able to use a set of small rocker-type paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel. Upshifting is done by pulling back on the right paddle or pushing the left paddle forward, vice versa for downshifts. In other words, you can actually shift with one hand thanks to the one-piece paddle and central pivot. Sequential downshifts can be made by pulling and holding the downshift paddle while braking. To place the car into reverse, you must first select neutral on the steering wheel, then pull the downshift paddle. When you're ready to go back into drive, just pull the upshift paddle. Just like the regular P1, a launch control system is also built in. The road-going P1 was only offered with 10-spoke ultra-lightweight forged aluminum wheels. Measuring 19 by 9 inches in front and 20 by 11.5 inches in the rear, they're fitted with bespoke Pirelli P0 Corsa tires, 245/35s and 315/30s respectively. The GTR's setup is a bit different as its wheels measure 19 by 10.5 inches in front and 19 by 13 inches in the rear, with 245/65 and 325/70 tires respectively. The tires equipped on this example are the ones used for transport. Braking is provided by internally ventilated carbon ceramic discs that are coated in a highly durable and heat-resistant material known as silicon carbide, which also gives the discs their distinct mirrored finish. In conjunction with the insane levels of downforce being produced, a road-going P1 can pretty much stop on a dime, 60 to 0 in just under 100 feet. The GTR should be even better. Along with retaining the same 15.3-inch rotors up front and 15-inch rotors in the rear, the GTR uses Formula 1-derived 6-piston monoblock calipers at each corner for added bite. Rather than having a limited slip differential out back, the GTR also uses an open differential with a brake-based torque vectoring system that McLaren calls brake steer. All P1s use an evolution of the 12C's hydropneumatic proactive suspension system known as Race Active Chassis Control or RCC, which offers a greater range of adaptability by managing roll and heave control independently. The only difference with the GTR is that you can't vary the ride height. Each wheel is controlled by its own hydraulic actuator, or damper if you will, along with independent unequal link control arms. For more information regarding brake steer, the braking system itself, and the rest of the many suspension goodies, be sure to check out my P1 review. It can be found in the top right hand corner of this video. Overall length is 186.5 inches with a width of 78.8 inches and a height of 44.8 inches. It rides on a 105.4-inch wheelbase and has a curb weight of around 3,142 pounds. Dry weight is rated at 3,086 pounds. As far as ground clearance, the GTR rides 3.2 inches high in front and 3.4 inches high in the rear. Inside, the GTR is very different from a road-going P1. You won't find any creature comforts, not even electric windows or mirrors. In fact, it actually takes two people to adjust the mirrors. One has to sit in the car and one has to loosen the mirrors with a 3mm hex key and position it. There aren't any airbags or any sound deadening, just massive amounts of exposed carbon fiber. It's a true race car that's designed to be lightweight and minimalistic. While this example is only fitted with a driver's seat, a passenger seat is also available. They're highly aggressive one-piece carbon fiber buckets with some padded material and 5-point racing harnesses. Beneath the front of the seat, there's two handles. The inner handle, closest to the central tunnel, allows you to slide the seat fore and aft. There aren't any other forms of height adjustment as the height of the seat is set by the factory. The outer handle, closest to the door sill, releases a portion of the head restraint, making it easier to navigate around when climbing in and out. One thing I find really interesting is that the seats and racing harnesses actually have an expiration date. McLaren states that their effective life is limited and must be replaced on or before the specified date to ensure they always perform to their maximum potential. The majority of the GTR's controls are located on the steering wheel, including the starter button. Some of the features are shared with the road-going P1, but some are unique to the GTR and specifically designed for track use. Starting in the middle, there's two rotary dials, one for electronic stability control and one for handling control. Labeled E and H respectively, they each have 3 modes. Handling control modifies the roll stiffness, active aero, adaptive damping, and steering response between wet, track, and race modes. With the stability control system, there's a wet mode for slippery track conditions and a dry mode that still offers some support. You can also fully disable stability and traction control if wanted. The headlamps are permanently on whenever the car is in use, and they're not able to be switched off. A flash to pass feature is activated by pulling the upper left-hand stalk towards you. The switch labeled rain light activates 2 high-intensity LED lights to increase your visibility out back when driving in the rain. E mode and charge can be found at the bottom left of the steering wheel. When set to E mode, the GTR will run on full electricity as long as there's sufficient charge available. When charge drops too low, the engine instantly fires back up to charge the battery. In this case, the engine is serving as a generator, as overall performance is still limited to the output of the electric motor. When E mode is activated, the paddle shifters are disengaged and the handling settings are restricted to normal mode. Charge mode causes the engine to quickly recharge the battery while on the move, again kind of serving as a generator. When sitting still in neutral, you can hold down the charge button for 5 seconds to activate pit lane charging. This elevates engine idle speed and torque output. The extra power is then absorbed by the electric motor, which generates an electric current that's passed onto the battery at a rate of about 6.5% per minute. Once charged, the engine will automatically return back to normal idle. The P1's drag reduction and instant power assist systems can be found by 2 gray buttons in the top of the steering wheel. IPAS works alongside the boost feature, which is located adjacent to the launch control button. Boost takes the maximum power available from the electric motor and harnesses it for on-demand use. With boost active, the P1 will run on engine power only until IPAS is pressed. Then all the available power and torque, both gas and electric, becomes available for maximum acceleration. IPAS will remain active as long as the button is pressed, depending on the battery's state of charge and temperature. The DRS system helps with straight line speed by lowering the rear wing and reducing drag. You have to hold the DRS button to maintain the effect. If you release it, touch the brake pedal, or have any steering input, the system will deactivate automatically. Other on-track systems that can be found on the steering wheel include a pit-to-car radio and a pit lane limiter. Located by the green button on the right, the pit-to-car radio allows two-way communication between the driver and pit crew, while the yellow button on the left limits top speed to 30 miles per hour. On top of that, each P1 GTR comes with a track telemetry system with 3 cameras, one for the driver, one facing forward, and one facing rearward. In addition to video, the system records data that can be replayed on a computer or on a tablet PC that comes with the car. Above the screen, which primarily serves to operate the climate control system, is the heated windscreen and hazards. Just like the regular P1, the GTR also has a vehicle lift system that is primarily used for loading and unloading the car onto vehicle transport. It has a built-in air jack system too that allows it to be raised temporarily, whether that be for storage, charging, or if you need to change out wheels and tires on the track. I showed another similar system like that in my Aston Martin Vulcan review. The GTR even has a built-in fire suppression system that can be activated either internally or externally. To use, the car must be brought to a stop first, as it won't activate while it's in motion. Once the doors have been opened, you would then activate the car's kill switch. There's one in the upper center stack adjacent to the hazards, and one in the scuttle panel at the rear edge of the bonnet. The kill switch immediately shuts down the engine in both the low and high voltage electrical systems. The fire suppression system can then be activated by one of 2 red buttons, one in the lower center stack and one adjacent to the kill switch on the scuttle panel. Like the seats and racing harnesses, this system also has a specific shelf life where periodic replacement is necessary to ensure proper operation at all times.
So enough of me talking and on to the part where everybody's been dying to see, including myself, and that's the sound clip. So let's go ahead and fire her back up and see how she sounds. hope you all enjoyed the in-depth look at the McLaren P1 GTR. Huge thanks again to the RDS Automotive Group in McLaren, Philadelphia for allowing us this incredible opportunity. For more information about the dealership, including contact info and current inventory, please feel free to check out their website provided in the description box below. Until next time, guys, there's always a lot more where that came from. Take care, everyone.
It's such an exciting time in automotive history. All of the innovation and advancements in both design